Hello and welcome to this new video for me. Today I want to give you a small update about Regulation H and the current top meta teams. I've EV'd all of them for you and I want to present 5 teams for you today. So that is really good global challenge, or rather grand challenge preparation for this weekend, or for the Toronto regionals in the upcoming weekend, as well as the Perth regional this coming weekend. So a lot of tournaments left in this month, which is pretty cool because we are reaching the final phase of Regulation H, and I'm really curious if we will see new teams. But for today, I thought I would EV the top meta teams, in my opinion, in the current meta. And let's start with Marco's Sun team. Marco Fierro, Marco Silva won LAIC with that kind of team, and it had decent showings after that as well. Not a top placement, to be fair, but a lot of players picked up this new team, or rather old team, because he was using that team in Gdansk as well to get to second place. And I thought I EV this team for you because I think it's still very good. This Incineroar's EV'd to have a faster fake out against opposing Incineroars, obviously, but it is also faster than Dragapult and Tailwind. I think it's very important for Incineroar to outspeed Modest Ursaluna Blood Moon, which hits 104 speed, so 105 speed Incineroar is really important. And then you can also play a little more for opposing Incineroar, which run like 105 speed. You also outspeed uninvested Rillaboom, like the Rillaboom from Ashton Cox, for example, had 0 speed EVs, and that's pretty neat. We hit the bump in attack and have a good number for Citrus Berry because it triggers after Super Fang from Mousehole, for example, and that's pretty neat, and I like the set a lot. It is paired with Ursaluna, and for Ursaluna I decided to use this spread. I feel like bulky Ursaluna is very good, and you don't need max attack on that kind of team because you have a lot of damage with Charizard, Torkoal, Adamant Incin, and you want your Ursaluna to be a little bulkier and have a little speed as well. I'm running 82 speed because I really wanted to outspeed Annihilate, Flamigo, Indeedee, all these Pokemon. And for Annihilate and Flamigo, 79 speed would have been enough, but for the 95 speed-based Pokemon, which are like Typhlosion and Indeedee, you need 81 speed if they are max speed. I'm talking about if Tailwind is up, and then 82 is just better because there are a lot of Pokemon having 80 speed, because 60 speed-based Pokemon with no investment like Farigiraf, Clefable, Incineroar, Primarina, there are a lot of Pokemon running around in this kind of speed here, and that's why I just decided to run 82 speed on this kind of Ursaluna. It still hits very hard and I like it a lot. For Jumpluff, I decided to run a max speed set. You don't really need max speed, but I think it is quite important against Ninetales Alola, because Ninetales Alola can remove the weather and then hit the Jumpluff with a Blizzard. But if Jumpluff is still fast, I can either set up a Tailwind before Ninetales attacks, or I can put it to sleep, which is really important. Also helps in Jumpluff mirrors, and Ninetales has 177 speed, so we run 178, and we have a very good chance to survive a Scale Shot from Dragonite with 5 hits. Let me check what the exact roll is. That's why we don't just run 252 HP and 4 defense, because with 252 and 4, Scale Shot has an 8% chance to KO, which is quite a lot, but with this kind of spread, it is a 1% chance. So you increase that roll quite a lot. But there's also the Sneasler roll, which is pretty cool, because Terra Stellar Diaclaw at -1, because you've got Incineroar, is also a better roll. It changes to 31%, which is pretty neat. Charizard doesn't have, there is no difference in running 244 or 252 special attack. I spent some time calculating, and having this extra defense can really help. That's why I also didn't invest into HP, because you want to take the fake outs, the sucker punch from King Gambit, and for example, Grassy Glide from Rillaboom, all this stuff. When you are Terra Ghost, you want to take all this stuff a little better, and that's why we put the 12 into defense. And Charizard is the key piece of the team. You can position it really well if you lead Jumpluff, Torkoal, and you go for something like Tailwind or Sleep Powder and Overheat, because this Torkoal has the eject pack. When you get Charizard onto the field, you have either Tailwind up, you have Rage Powder up, so that is a very common mode with this team. Jumpluff Torkoal lead with Charizard Incineroar in the back. Another line is, for example, Porygon 2 Incineroar lead to get the Trick Room up, and then Ursaluna and either Jumpluff in the back so that you can click Earthquake, or you bring Torkoal in the back to have another Trick Room sweeper. That's completely on you, but there are a lot of lines in this team which I really like. This Torkoal, you could consider running more speed, but against the hard Trick Room matchup, it's actually very important to have a min speed Torkoal to outspeed or speed tie other Torkoal. Obviously with Tailwind you can have some cool numbers as well, but then the hard Trick Room matchup gets unplayable, and that's why we run a min speed Torkoal on this team. And with Helping Hand it can boost the damage output from Charizard, Incineroar and Ursaluna even further, as well as Porygon 2, because that Porygon 2 is very specially offensive. I think the Porygon 2 from Marco Fierro is even more offensive, but I feel like 160 modest is enough. I ran 36 speed to outspeed all these 60 base speed Pokemon again. Porygon 2 is also one of them, as well as Garchomp and Tailwind, because Garchomp saw a little bit more usage now, especially in the Sacramento regionals, and I think Garchomp is a huge threat to the team, so that's why I'm running 36 speed EVs. The special defense allows you to survive a Terra Normal, Life or Blood Moon from Ursaluna Blood Moon. Some defense helps to take hits from Sneasler and Rillaboom better, and then the remaining just went into the special attack, and that's a very good spread and overall a very good team. It's quite hard to use, I would say, so it's not made for beginners in my opinion, but you can still try it out. I will also link all the team creators or all the players who use these teams in the description below if you want to have more insight on that. Next up, we've got Victor's bulky offense team. This is known, I always call it the Elizabeth team, because the original creator from this team, or from these 6 at least, is Elizabeth, a very good Japanese player, and they used it to hit the top on the in-game ladder, but with slightly different sets. For example, where Dragonite had Anchor and No Protect, and I think Pelipal wasn't Focus Sash, but Victor Medina used this team to get to the finals of LAIC, and the showing in Sacramento was insane. I think there were 4 teams, like this exact 6, there were 4 of them in top 16, which is crazy. And the team itself plays a little easier than the Sun team in my opinion, because you have so many options. We've got Dragonite first. You should run Adamant Dragonite. You could also consider running Jolly, because with Jolly you could get you could outspeed something like Volcarona, Excalibur, Bascule Legion, Dragapult after a scale shot, and some stuff in Tailwind as well, like Incineroar, but or Ursaluna, but then you don't get the KOs anymore. So it's just, I think it's a preference thing. I would understand if you run Jolly, but I feel like Adamant has been working a little better for me. You've got Haste, which is pretty cool to get rid of Intimidate drops, as well as your defense drop with Scale Shot. You also remove your speed boost, which you have to keep in mind, but it is also very good into setup stuff like King Gambit or Dondozo especially. And you can also set up the Tailwind for Ursaluna, for example, because this Ursaluna is max speed, so that it outspeeds pretty much everything in Tailwind, but also outside of Tailwind, you can outspeed stuff like Incineroar, Primarina, I don't know, like this kind of speed here between 80 and 100. And that's pretty cool about this Ursa Luna. I made this one a little stronger because the team is a little bit Incineroar weak. So it is important to maybe get the OKO on Incineroar with something like an Earthquake after an Intimidate. So that's why I made this Ursa Luna stronger than the one on Marco Fierro's team. We've also got Sinistra to heal up, especially Archaludon, but also Dragonite and Ursa Luna, which is pretty cool. I'm using Calm Sinistra here because Calm Sinistra is able to survive something like a Shadow Ball from Life of Goldengo. It's only, if it's max special attack, it only has a 43% chance to one-hit KO, but not every Goldengo is max special attack. Some of them only have 132 special attack, which you will see later in the video. And this speed stat is pretty cool because you outspeed Sneasler with it. So if you have Tailwind up, you can KO it with like Sinistra Pelipper. You go for Hurricane Machagotcha, which is pretty cool. And you also outspeed opposing Sinistra to get a Machagotcha off before they do, or to get a Life Dew off to heal Ursa Luna, for example, and that's why I chose this kind of Sinistra spread. Pelipper is just Focus Sash. Interestingly enough, this Pelipper carries Muddy Water instead of Hurricane. It is very nice to hit Pokemon next to Redirection, something like Goldengo or also Incineroar, Ursa Luna. Hitting all these Pokemon next to Redirection is pretty nice, and you have a 30% chance to lower the opponent's accuracy, which can also come up quite a lot. Weather Ball is also not very great in the Sand matchup, and Muddy Water really helps against stuff like Tyranitar Excadrill as well, which is really nice. And we run 4 HP instead of like 4 defense or 4 special defense because that again increases the odds of surviving Scale Shot from Dragonite if it gets 5 hits. You can run 36 defense to always guarantee to survive a Scale Shot, but then you have to drop special attack or speed, and I didn't like it because Muddy Water is a spread move, doesn't do a lot of damage, and that's why I also decided to run a Modest Nature so that Pelipper actually does something when it's on the field. Next up we've got Archaludon. Archaludon really cool with Bold Nature as well as Self-Scale Shot with Dragonite onto the Archaludon. You can get a lot of value. This Archaludon also survives an Earth Power from Modest Life or Blood Moon. It has a lot of special defense. So this Archaludon is made to not deal as much damage as possible from the beginning with like Electroshock. That's why we don't have a Modest Nature. It instead is there to be this tank, to be this wall, you know. If you Self-Scale Shot your Archaludon, you are immediately at +4 defense, and some teams only have physical attackers, and then you can heal it up with Sinistra, and you're basically a raid boss. This was the word I was searching for, raid boss. You kind of create this raid boss Archaludon, which is pretty neat, and it can also support the team even more with Snarl, and that's why you also don't really need that much special attack investment because you don't have something like Draco Meteor on the set, but we still want to be faster than Timid Ursa Luna Blood Moon, and that's why we want 115 speed. Bold Nature, I explained it, to boost your body press because you're also Terra Fighting. So with a +5 Terra Fighting body press, you even threaten the special attackers that want to set up on you. Otherwise, something like Volcarona, for example, doesn't really want to go for a Quiver Dance if you just have such a strong body press, right? And that's pretty cool about this Archaludon set. And last but not least, we've got Goldengo because the team otherwise would be really slow with fastest Pokemon being Dragonite. I saw variations of the team with Incineroar over Goldengo, and that also makes sense because you provide even more physical support with Intimidate, but you also have a better Sun matchup because you can watch with Marco Fierro against Torvif set. I think it's also on YouTube, the finals of LAC. It was not fun because Jumplove is really good into the team, Torkoal is really good into the team, Charizard is really good into the team. Like there are a lot of Pokemon that have that can do a lot of things. As also Porygon 2. Your only damage against Porygon 2 is like Achaludon and Ursaluna, and Ursaluna takes too much from Ice Beam, especially because it's no bulk, and Achaludon first has to get its defense boost so it does good damage with Body Press. So Incineroar with knockoff makes sense, but Goldengo with Trick helps as well. But against most Porygon 2 teams, Goldengo is not really great. Terra Flying was chosen here to not be weak to Sucker Punch from King Gambit, which is pretty neat, as well as having the opportunity to go for Earthquake with a Ursaluna Goldengo board. You can go for Make It Rain Earthquake, which is pretty cool because one of the best Pokemon that want to switch into Goldengo is Incineroar, but Incineroar doesn't want to switch into an Earthquake, so this combination is really neat. I decided to run a max speed Goldengo. You can also drop speed, but I thought it is pretty nice to outspeed Choice Scarf Modest in DD Male, as well as Choice Scarf Modest Typhlosion, which both hit 147 speed, and Choice Scarf Timid Make Speed Tatsugiri also hits 147 speed. So hitting all these three is pretty cool, as well as something like a Jolly Dragapult. But Dragapult should not really be a problem with Dragonite Ursaluna and Achaludon in the back with Sinistra. I had to play it myself, at least not with my Dragapult team from LAIC, because I played against Victor and he smashed me. So this team has really good matchups and across the board, and that is pretty nice, I gotta say. One of my favorite teams for now. I also used this in the Victory Road World Cup recently. I approve. Next up, we've got the regional winning team from Carson from Sacramento, and he used basically the base was the team the Nielsen brothers, the Hoy brothers were using, like Frederick and Nikolai, and this team is really strong. They, like Carson and his friends, added Incineroar instead of Dragonite, and that made a lot of sense because if you want to have a good Sun matchup, you just put a safety goddess Incineroar on your team. And Incineroar, it was a little bit disrespected in the early format, and now it's coming back, and we saw it in Stuttgart. I think in day 2 it had the most usage, and that shows how good Incineroar is. I decided to go for a Careful Nature because you want to take hits from Porygon 2 and Charizard better, but we still want a lot of speed because I think it's very important to outspeed Sneasel and Tailwind, because Sneasel can be a pain in the arse against this team, and that's why I decided to run this kind of spread on the Incineroar. Ursaluna has nothing special, just make speed, make special attack. You can run Timid Nature to get the jump on other Ursaluna, but you need the extra damage with Modest. So I really do not recommend running Timid. I saw people do it, and obviously it can win you some games, but the extra damage on Ursaluna Blood Moon is just way too important, and that's why I recommend a Modest Nature. Electabuzz is the next one, and this spread is really cool. You can run max speed, don't get me wrong. Max speed really helps in the mirror, and you can also outspeed opposing Adamant Sneasel, or use speed type opposing Adamant Sneasel. But I understand when people say Adamant Sneasel and Electabuzz, because we run Adamant Sneasel as well, speed type, so you should not play both of them at 172 speed, so I kind of understand it. And the cool part is if you have a little more bulk, because if you have max speed, you have less bulk, right? But with this bulk, you are able to survive. There are two things. It's Terra Stellar Close Combat from Sneasel, as well as, there was another physical move. You always survive with 164 HP and 100 defense. Terra Stellar Close Combat, as well as... it was... if you go Terra Dragon, you survive Terra Water Choice Band Wave Crash in Rain from Bascule Legion, as well as no Terra Water and no Rain. Like Wave Crash, Choice Band, Adamant, without Terra and Rain. If you don't Terra, like because of Rain is 50%, and then also the 1/3 for Terra, so it jumps from 100% to 200%. But if you go to Terra Dragon, it jumps to 100% back again, kind of, And the max damage for both, like it is exactly the same roll. Terra Stellar Close Combat and the Wave Crash thing I just mentioned both do 99.3% max with this spread, and that's why I dropped this little speed. You still outspeed something like Garchomp, and you would say, why would you outspeed Garchomp? Maybe you can force a Terra early, but if you lead Talonflame Ursaluna, you get Tailwind up anyways. But if I manage to stall Tailwind and then you have Electabuzz in the bag, that happens quite a bit for me. If the Garchomp Terras to Terra Steel to resist Ursaluna's move, you can then get the Electro Rebel with Electabuzz in the late game, and that is pretty cool. Next up, we've got Talonflame, again, 4 HP, increases the Scale Shot roll. We've got Terra Fairy to cover for that as well. Dual Wing Beat is there to 1-hit KO Sneasler. Flare Blitz, Tailwind, Will-O-Wisp, really good set. You need max attack to KO Sneasler, and you really want to run max speed, because once your Gale Wings are broken, you still want to outspeed Sneasler, as well as other Talonflame. Adamant Dragapult has 194 speed, so that's pretty sweet. Sneasler, you should always run 4 defense Sneasler. Please do not run 4 HP Sneasler. I know that with Stuttgart Regional Champ ran 4 HP Sneasler, but 4 defense gives you 2 things. It heavily increases the odds of surviving 4 scale shots from Adamant Dragonite, and it also gives you a chance to survive a dual wing beat from Talonflame. So please run 4 defense on your Sneasler, I'm begging you. You run Adamant Sneasler if you have Psychic Seed and Tailwind support to further increase your damage. I think that's no surprise. And indeed, he should be always played timid, in my opinion, to outspeed Annihilate, Flamigo, Goldengo, Tatsugiri, I guess you speed type Tatsugiri, but all these 90 base as well as 95 base Pokemon, or the 95 base Pokemon you speed type, opposing Indeedee, Typhlosion, Hisui. So that's why you should run timid Indeedee, and the damage output between modest and timid is not that great, especially because you don't click Expanding Force that often, at least in my experience. And this team overall is also very strong. If you just want to have some fast matches, I can really recommend it, because your games will be over pretty fast, because the games will not last longer than 10 turns. That's pretty much impossible. Next up, we've got Francesco's Rain team. Francesco Pio Pero made finals in the Stuttgart regionals with it, and Pardo, Flavio Del Pidio, had an undefeated Swiss one in the Stuttgart regionals as well, with the very same team. It's a very common Rain combination. I think we saw this V6 quite often. I think Marco Fierro used it to get into top 8. Max Waterman used V6 to get into top 8. So there are a lot of top tier players that have been using this team, but we see some small adaptations like Rocky Helmet and Incineroar, for example. And Rocky Helmet and Incineroar is pretty sweet, because a problem for Rain teams is Sneasler usually. Sneasler can be painful for you, and Rocky Helmet and Incineroar can break the sash from Sneasler, but it can also break other focus sashes, something like a sash from Excadrill, for example, sash from Flamigo. So there are a lot of Pokemon that do contact with their moves, and breaking their focus sashes is pretty neat, or getting chip damage overall. I EV'd with Incineroar to survive in Terra Stellar Close Combat from Jolly Sneasler once it's intimidated, because I thought this is pretty important, and I decided to run 90 speed because I wanted to outspeed Ninetales and Tailwind to get a taunt or a parting shot off before they move, or maybe get a KO with knockoff, and it's also cool to outspeed something like max speed mousehold to taunt them before they can go for something like after you. I was like, no, it's not just after you. Like if they go for population bomb into your partner, then they cannot go for follow me in the next turn. You don't have to be faster for this kind of scenario, but it is still nice to also maybe get a knockoff off before they get to move, right? Next up, we've got the remaining points were just bumped or dumped into special defense. So this basically Legion is EV to survive a 116 adamant Rillaboom's Grassy Glide always, and with 36 defense EVs. Like you also do that with 20 defense EVs, but with 36 the roll from max attack Rillaboom jumps from 50% to 37.5%. I don't know why people should run max attack Assault Vest Rillaboom, but there are always some people out there who run this stuff. So being able to survive that or increasing your odds to do that is pretty nice. And I think the damage difference between 220 adamant and 252 adamant is just so slim that it doesn't really matter. Next up, we've got Amoonguss, and I was thinking that since we've got Incineroar, a first step Incineroar, I rather want to have a specially defensive Amoonguss, because that really helps in the Psy-Spam matchup. In the Psy-Spam matchup, you also have Incineroar and Achaludon usually, but specially defensive Amoonguss also helps against Ursaluna Blood Moon. So that's pretty neat. We have 20 speed EVs because we have a tailwind mode on Pelipper, and with that we can outspeed Ursaluna Blood Moon, Modest. It has 104 speed, and in tailwind we have 106 speed. So we also outspeed Pokemon that are only crapped for the Ursaluna Blood Moon, which have 105, and that's why you remember the Incineroar that had 107. It's also for this kind of scenario. But if you have goggles, it doesn't really matter anyway. But the Incineroar can knock your Incineroar safety goggles, so outspeeding Amoonguss then is pretty important. So yeah, that's that. And also, Amoonguss is just a really strong piece in rain teams because you can redirect moves, and you can also use Spore to just buy free turns for your team. And what you have to keep in mind, you would say, why not run 27 IVs to be faster than something like Ursaluna Blood Moon and Ursaluna and King Gambit in Trick Room? I just think that all these Pokemon do not run min speed. In the whole regulation, like maybe in the beginning people were running 49 speed Ursaluna, but now pretty much every Ursaluna Hisui team also has a tailwind mode, like the Elizabeth team, the Wolf team with Yanmega. Like a lot of teams do not fully rely on Trick Room Ursaluna, and that's why it also is not necessary to drop speed IVs on the Amoonguss, at least for now. It can change in 2 weeks, but that's how meta works, meta development rather. And so for now, I think this spread is the best Amoonguss spread. Next up, we've got Pelipper. Pelipper, in this team, I really want to have timid Pelipper. Terra Ground is pretty nice, so that you can keep your focus search against something like Electabuzz. And I want to run a timid Pelipper here because I think it's pretty important to get the jump on all the Pokemon that run around 120 speed, like some Goldengo, max speed Incineroar, max speed Tyranitar, some Achaludon, some Rillaboom, some Magma. Like there are a lot of Pokemon, other Pelipper as well, where you want to outspeed those, and that's why I think timid Pelipper on this kind of things is better. Achaludon in this case is also a little faster because I wanted to get the jump on the Pokemon I just mentioned as well. And we still have a lot of bulk left. In this kind of team, you want to have a modest Achaludon because you do not rely on body press because you don't have self-proc. Like you can self-proc with I don't know, flip turn Bascule Legion, I guess. But your main damage is not body press here. It's much rather with special attacks. And Terra Bug is pretty cool because you have a defensive Terra, which is never weak to Sneasel. Like Terra Grass, Terra Fairy are always weak to Sneasel. Which was the most used Pokemon before the most recent tournaments. So that change also makes sense, especially if you have Incineroar with safety goggles, Amoonguss and Goldengo. You have a lot of Amoonguss punish already, so running Terra Grass on Chaludon would punish it even more, but is not super necessary here. And Goldengo, I decided to run a 132 special attack spread because you want some bulk on your Goldengo, otherwise it drops too fast. But I think max speed, I think Chichiot, Francesco Piopero, as well as Pardo were using modest Goldengo, and I can also understand that. You can run max speed modest Goldengo as well, like this. So you can keep the same spread because I think the bulk, the 116 HP EVs, are pretty good. But what you would miss with this speed is like against Volcarona, it's pretty cool to outspeed them because if they go Terra Fairy against something like Bascule Legion, you can punish that with a Make It Rain if they don't have a Quiver Dance up, or if they are +2 and you have Tailwind up, you can also still outspeed them. You also outspeed Adamant max speed Excalibur. You outspeed Modest max speed Chaludon. You outspeed Jolly max speed Bascule Legion. All this stuff just makes me feel like Timid is better, but I can also understand if you want to run a modest nature. But please always run this kind of bulk, okay? And last but not least, we've got the Aiden Bachelor's Duck team. If you don't know what Duck stands for, I can explain this. Duck stands for Dragonite, Ursaluna, Goldengo. These three are like Japanese players were really keen on it since the beginning of the meta. We've seen a lot of Duck teams since the beginning of the meta, basically. And people were developing this team even more and more and more. And these 6 were able to win the full thing. I think Justin Burns as well as Brady Smith used the same 6 in LAIC. So really nice adaptation there, because we also saw Eduardo Cunha using a Duck with Sneasel and Incineroar, but instead of Amoonguss there was, I think, a Rillaboom. We saw Aurelian Solar using Duck back in the Lille Regional. We saw a Duck team making top 4 in another European Regional. So yeah, that just shows how strong this core of 3 is, but finding the other 3 was a really hard part. But Incineroar, Amoonguss, Sneasel just makes a lot of sense. Incineroar, I said it, you want to outspeed Dragapult in Tailwind, in my opinion, as like not especially Dragapult, but the Amoonguss in Tailwind, the 53 speed Amoonguss, as well as opposing Incineroar and Rillaboom, all that stuff that's around this line. I forgot to change it here, but in this case we are running an Adamant Incineroar because this damage output this Incineroar deals is quite a lot, and I like Adamant Incineroar way more. And on some teams you need Carful Incin, but we've got AV, Ursaluna, Dragonite, and Amoonguss here, especially defensive Amoonguss again, and that's why I thought Adamant Incineroar is better here. I know that Aiden released their spreads as well, but I didn't really like them because there was 4 HP on the Sneasel instead of 4 defense. Sorry, Aiden, if you see this, you are the GOAT for winning the regional, but trust me. Also, this Ursaluna spread, I will show you a screenshot on Twitter when I post my video that I was using this Ursaluna spread for 1.5 months now. And Aiden used the same spread, which is a funny coincidence. This EV spread allows you to always survive a close combat from Sneasel, from Jolly Sneasel, I think it was. Or was it Adamant? It is a close combat from Sneasel. And you also always did I say outspeed? I meant survive. And you always survive a Terra normal Blood Moon from Life of Blood Moon as well. And you still outspeed the 90 base speed Pokemon in Annihilate, Flamigo, and is there something else that is relevant? 156 speed. Not that I know of, at least for now. But yeah, and you still get the bump in special attack, so that spread does everything. And I love AV Ursaluna. It's so fun to play, and one of my favorite Pokemon, and one of the most used, or one of the most favorite Pokemon I will miss after Regulation Age, because I think after Regulation Age, we will never see Assault Vest Ursaluna Blood Moon ever again, but it was a lot of fun playing with it. Amoonguss, it's the same spread as before. It's also the same spread Aiden was using. It just makes a lot of sense here. I explained it before, so I don't have to explain it again. Dragonite should always be max attack to punish people who are running 4 HP Sneasel, because there you get the KO with 4 hits basically, and also the extra damage against something like Incineroar is pretty cool. Also with the Bolt Incineroar, not the Bolt, the Impish Incineroar I just showed you on the Rain team, you also survive 10 scale shots from Dragonite if they are -1. Not just the Terrastellar CC from Sneasel, but also 10 scale shots, which is pretty nice. So if you switch it into Incineroar, you take 5 scale shots and you take another 5, which can come in clutch quite often. Sneasel, please, 4 defense, okay, 4 defense. But I like that we are seeing the Focus Sash Terrastellar set, but the Throat Chop instead of Fake Out, because otherwise the team is way too Goldango weak, because Dragonite does not really hit Goldango. Amoonguss does not hit Goldango. If Sneasel has Fake Out, it does not hit Goldango. Incineroar and Ursaluna are slower. Ursaluna takes way too much damage from Make It Rain, and if Incineroar is your check against Goldango, you did a lot of things wrong in your team building, and that's why Throat Chop just makes so much sense. And it also punishes Terra Ghosts as well as just Ghost types in general. And here, since the team is still weak to Goldango, I really want to have a timid nature. Aiden was using modest max speed. I explained it on the Francesco team. I think timid is just better right now. But this team, I fell in love with it. I was using Dark in the Victory Road World Cup as well, and I had so much fun with it that I really wanted to use another Dark team, but I just couldn't make it work. But this team really, even though it's Instant Amoonguss, I never play Instant Amoonguss, but I like Ursaluna, D-Knight, Sneasel, Goldango. And the instant on this kind of team, I approve. That all being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to use one of these teams, I linked all of them in the description below. I also linked all the team creators in the description below. And if you want to see more of that content, feel free to subscribe, because especially in the new year, I plan to do a lot of really nice stuff, especially for VGC. And with that being said, I hope you enjoy this week, and good luck to all the competitors in the upcoming regionals as well as in the GC. And yeah, bye bye.